In this installment, we're going to be going over a Sunday night football matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Miami Dolphins. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to bring you the winning ingredients for your Sunday night football matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. But before I deep dive into that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessageSD. Don't forget about the TikTok at Chef_D91. And don't forget about the Patreon if you want more DFS, betting, and fantasy football advice. All of those links will be provided down below. Right, you already know the deal. The first thing we're going to look at will be this injury report for this game between the Steelers and the Dolphins. On the Dolphin side, doubtful will be starting cornerback Keyline Crossan. It's been a couple weeks that he's been out of the lineup. Good news, Xavier Howard looks like he's going to be fine. He had a non-injury related out on Thursday, and he had limited practice. Don't forget, he does have double groin injuries that he's coming in, so he's not 100%, but just the fact that he's going to be out there will help their defense. All right, they're going to be providing a lot of different exotic blitzes coming at Kenny Pickett. All right, we got question mark on Teron Armstead. We're waiting on Emmanuel Ogbah is questionable. Kader Kuhu is questionable. Everyone looks like they're questionable, but they got in limited practices and they should be fine. No one else that's going to be trending towards that doubtful side. On the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kenny Pickett has cleared concussion protocols. He will be the starting quarterback for this team. Any other doubtfuls? We have Okello Witherspoon. That's going to be a loss for the secondary of the Steelers, and they're gonna need their secondary when you're going up against Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Steven Sims is pretty much nobody. He's going to be out, and everyone else should be fine to play for this game on Sunday night. So let's get into the captain. We're going to start off with the captain position. We're going to start off at the top. Tyreek Hill. He's getting his quarterback back in Tua Tagovailoa. That's a positive for Jalen Waddle as well. So Tyreek Hill, it didn't matter that he was missing his quarterback. They still put up great numbers. 32 fantasy points against Minnesota. 12 receptions, 177 yards. Didn't get an end zone, but still had an outstanding day. Tyreek Hill's in a great matchup. We're looking at fantasy points allowed to that wide receiver position. The Steelers are bottom in the league. If we're going to look at these rankings right here, Steelers are 31st and 28th in the red zone, allowing 210 yards to wide receivers and 1.5 touchdowns to wide receivers as well. So that's good news for Tyreek Hill, and that's good news for Jalen Waddle. Waddle gets his best buddy back in Tua Tagovailoa, who's going to be back starting in for the Miami Dolphins. That is a great sign. I'm happy that he is fully recovered, and now Jalen Waddle should have a big breakout game. All right, he had solid fantasy points, 20.9, but we want that 43 type of output that we saw in week 2 against Baltimore. I'm not saying he's going to get all of that type of usage, but Jalen Waddle should definitely put up another 20 plus fantasy point production game going up against these Pittsburgh Steelers in this secondary that is still hampered, and they got a big test in front of them with Jalen Waddle and with Tyreek Hill. I love both of these guys as captain options. I would lean more to Waddle because he has more of a connection with Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, obviously they played together in college. All right, so Tua Tagovailoa, not going to be one of my favorite captains, but I do have to mention him just because he's finally back, and they get their orchestrator of this offense where they got off to a very hot start early in the season. So we only had one big blow game from Tua, so you see the upside. He can put up big numbers, and if obviously the secondary struggles, then we could see a similar performance of what we saw in week 2. So definitely just got to notify you guys. But I do not expect it to happen in his first game back. I think he's going to be a fine game manager, get the ball to his playmakers, and have a solid outing, okay? Tua Tagovailoa is going to be on the lower end of our captain spots. Maybe a decent flex play. All right, Kenny Pickett on the other side, he's in a solid matchup as well. If we're looking at fantasy points allowed to the quarterback position, the Miami Dolphins, despite the fact they draw up nice blitzes, they do get beat. Okay, they do get beat deep. If we're looking at their fantasy points allowed, they're right here, 26th in the league. All right, and then you see, my bad, 27th in the league. And as you see, Pittsburgh Steelers is 26. So Tua, like I said, his first game back, it is a great matchup. I would lean more to him as a flex play. Now, Kenny Pickett, coming back from his concussion, he has a myriad of talented wide receivers to throw to as well. I like him in this particular game. They're giving up a lot of yardage as well, the Miami Dolphins. So both sides, we could see a high scoring type of affair in this game. We might have a couple lineups where we're going to have to put in Kenny Pickett and Tua Tagovailoa. So definitely like to get creative in this one. Kenny Pickett should definitely have, hopefully, a multiple touchdown game, which would be his first of his career. All right. Kenny Pickett would be a pretty decent captain play. I would rather have him in the flex as well. I want to go with one of the pass catchers or running backs or tight ends in the captain position. All right, so let's continue to move down. We have Najee Harris. He's been so up and down. He's super inefficient, and he needs to get multiple touchdowns to pay off his salary. I don't like Najee Harris. I didn't think he was a great pick this year. If you did fantasy football, it was the volume that he received, the reason why he was paying off his salary last year. Right now, he's seen a bump down in usage, and they're using a more explosive back in Jaylen Warren. So Najee Harris, if you want to pay up for him, I don't recommend having him as a captain spot. And if we're looking at fantasy points allowed to running backs, let's just double check on these Miami Dolphins to see if I'm missing something. Miami Dolphins is middle in the pack. No, they're actually better than middle. They're only allowing 3.8 yards a carry, so that's very good, and only 71 rushing yards. So that's top 10 if we're looking at rushing stats. Everyone else is allowing 80, 90, 100 yards rushing per game to that running back position. So I want to stay away from Najee Harris, less explosive type of back, and he's going to need a lot of volume. The guys we're going to get to is Deontay Johnson here at 8,000. I love his prospects. Kenny Pickett back. He's not afraid to throw the ball down the field. That means Deontay Johnson is a plus, and that means George Pickens is in the conversation as well as a captain. All right. We want that big blow-up game. It has yet to happen. He has yet to get a touchdown this year. This can happen in this game. So George Pickens is someone that's going to be super sneaky, has huge upside. I think he is going to be one of my favorite captain plays just because of the prospects and the opportunity in this game. What I just showed you guys, of fantasy points allowed to the wide receiver, the Dolphins are giving up yardage. So we're going to flip that again. The Dolphins are right here, 24th in the league, and fantasy points allowed to wide receivers, around 171 yards to wide receivers and 1 touchdown a game to wide receivers. So George Pickens, Deontay Johnson are going to be very good plays at that captain position. Now let's move over to the flex plays. Next will be our flex ops, and my favorite flex guy, we're going to start off with Raheem Mostert. As long as he is healthy, he is getting the bulk of the carries, and he is still a very explosive back in that backfield for Miami Dolphins. Pretty much taking over for Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds has taken a big backseat, and Raheem Mostert is at $7,800 in salary. He has sneaky upside to be a captain as well. And we're looking at fantasy points allowed to the running back position. The Steelers are 22nd in the league, 18th in the red zone. They're allowing 100 yards rushing to opposing running backs and about 4 yards a carry. So that's going to be something positive to look at for the Miami Dolphins to get their run game going and then open things up for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So I like Raheem Mostert at that nice salary there. We're going to continue to go down. Claypool has been popping off as of late, and he's in trade talk. So you expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to kind of feature him to get him more buzz on that trade scene after the game. and probably get a nice package for Chase Claypool, who they're trying to trade right now. In the last past 2 games, he has 16 targets, about 146 yards, and a touchdown. So he's been very, very productive the last past 2 weeks with both quarterbacks in Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky. So Chase Claypool has huge upside, has ability, has speed, has size. And in this game, it's a perfect matchup that I've already showed you, that fantasy points allowed to the wide receivers. This could be a back and forth type of affair. So Claypool is a nice salary save wide receiver. Let's continue to go down. I did mention Chase Edmonds. They said they was going to give him more touches. He got a bump in snaps for Chase Edmonds, but other than that, he needs an injury to Raheem Mostert, which is very, very likely. But maybe we see a little bit more usage of Chase Edmonds. He was getting a couple more carries a game at the beginning of the season. Now it's totally ticked down to a minuscule amount, and Raheem Mostert is the number 1 running back on this team. Let's continue to go down. Mike Gesicki, and we have Pat Freiermuth. We're going to look at these tight ends. The one that's in a better matchup and a better environment is going to be Pat Freiermuth, all right? We're going to bump him up just a little bit more. Pat Freiermuth and Kenny Pickett have a nice connection. The thing here is that Kenny Pickett is not afraid to throw the ball in the middle of the field. As soon as Kenny Pickett was able to take over the reins, he had a nice connection with Pat Freiermuth. You saw the ability to target him. And he is a very good tight end, young and very good tight end. As you can see, 3 double-digit fantasy point performances so far in his in these first 5 weeks. And Pat Freiermuth at 5,000 is a nice punt play at that tight end position. Mike Gesicki is coming off an outstanding game where he had 6 for 7 for 69 and 2 touchdowns. Against the tight end position, fantasy points allowed, the Steelers are pretty stout. So maybe this is most likely just a fluke game. But Mike Gesicki is definitely someone you can mention. If all the eyes is going to be on Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, Mike Gesicki still has big ability and talent to produce a big game, as you saw in week 6 against Minnesota, 24.9 fantasy points. So definitely have to know to tell you guys about him. All right, now if we go to kickers and defenses, I don't like the defenses on either side for Dolphins and Steelers with the injuries. With the injuries and the fact that I think this might be a little bit more of a high-scoring affair in this game. If I did have to choose one, all right, I would choose the Dolphins because of the blitz schemes that they can draw up. They can provide a lot of pressure, but it leaves them open on that back end. It leaves them open in one-on-one coverage against Deontay Johnson, against George Pickens, against Chase Claypool, and that can lead to big yardage and big plays. So if I had to choose one, I would choose Dolphins if they get and fluster Kenny Pickett. But on the other side, it could be a bad recipe. All right, so for the kickers, don't mind going either way with Chris Boswell. He's been pretty safe kicker. And Jason Sanders here. So both kickers are going to be viable on either side. I wouldn't go with the defenses. Let's see if we have any more gems below these guys. We got Zach Gentry. He's the backup tight end. Now with Pat Freiermuth back, we don't go to him. Jaylen Warren is someone we can consider. He's been getting more and more usage against Buffalo. We saw him working in that receiving game. Definitely watch out for Jaylen Warren. He's been chipping in on a couple carries here and there on Najee Harris, and I do not like Najee Harris in this game. All right, let's see if we find any more gems down here. We can look at some backup wide receivers. We got River Craycraft, who's had sparing usage earlier in the season where he had 2 touchdowns in back-to-back games. So he's coming in red zone type of sets because of his size and ability, so he can be someone we can look at 1,200. These are low-end punt plays, okay? Miles Boykin has some speed upside over here. Other than that, I think we want to stay away from all of these guys down below Jaylen Warren, all right? So we'll go with the kickers. We'll go with Jaylen Warren. But other than that, we're going to stay away from the rest of these guys. And let's clear this out and let's focus in on the main plays for this Pittsburgh and Miami Dolphins Sunday Night Football matchup. So my main plays will be Jalen Waddle. Another one that I like would be George Pickens, to have someone from the other side. And I'll pick one more to have in each and every lineup. We are going to go with Let's see. We are going to go with Tyreek Hill. All right. So we'll go with both Miami wide receivers, George Pickens on the other side. I also do like Kenny Pickett in this game and Tyreek Hill. So those are going to be the guys we're going to focus on in this particular matchup. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessageSD, and I'll be back with another video very soon. All right. Peace out, guys.